Perfect. So why don't we just start off with tell us a little bit who you are, your role, what brand you oversee, and how many locations you guys have.
Yeah, my name is Mark Sozanski. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Montana's Barbecue and Bar, and we have 95 locations.
Awesome. And right now, which MeazureUp tools are you currently using? Audit app, DailyChex, both.
We actually use both for two different purposes.
Awesome. And what was your operational assessment process prior to MeazureUp? How does it differ with MeazureUp and how you are using the app?
Well, so the audit app is used primarily with our BDMs, which would be known as regional managers. And for them, it's a way to secure all communication with partners, restaurants, and making sure it's housed so there's access for both them and for our regional managers. And then the actual DailyChex does what it does is it helps us make sure that there's a digitized and simplified way of doing what we call our day pack, which is essentially things like food safety, line check, and daily checklists.
Great. And how did it differ before MeazureUp?
Well, we were really on a manual system. You know, one of the benefits of getting digitized and working with MeazureUp was to reduce our paper footprint, and which we're seeing in spades, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, that's great. And that kind of leads me to the next question is just overall, what has been the biggest benefit from using DailyChex for your role specifically or just the entire organization?
Well, I think for the entire organization, quite frankly, the simplification of doing what we called our day pack, which is now in DailyChex, there's better adoption because today's leaders and workers, they live in a digitalized world, and we needed to just modernize ourselves a little bit, and we've accomplished that. At an organizational level, with our regional managers, and the communication is, you know, it's stored somewhere and it's accessible if necessary to be able to make sure that we are partnering with our partners to make sure we're executing the company standards of operations.
Yeah, definitely. And what features or components do you utilize the most, or does your team utilize the most? Pictures, comments, action plans, even just like the daily digest email. What have kind of you just seen or found?
I personally use the dashboard the most. And then I speak with my director of operations on that. And then if we need to dig in, but it's certainly used again as a place to be able to track and trace. And that's not a negative thing. It's a way to kind of coach our teams to help them make sure that they're able to achieve their targets of delivering a great experience for our guests and quite frankly, do it in a simplified way.
And do you actually use a solution to identify company-wide problems? Have you had any reduction in repeat issues that you've seen? If there are examples, feel free to share. But yeah, just have you used it to really identify any problems or consistent issues?
Yeah, I personally don't dig in that deep. My director will do all that. And if there's anything that she needs to bring up to me, she would and identify. And then we would go to our operations excellence department and, you know, look at what we need to do to remedy that issue. But that's kind of the process.
Yeah.
It hasn't come up often to me, so obviously there's adoption here that we're happy with.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
are there any quantifiable differences you've noticed since using daily checks? Any internal metrics that you've been able to kind of get a hold of? Is you seeing things done faster, more often, anything like that?
Well, the daily, you know, using the daily checks is getting done more often. Um, I would like it's certainly getting done more often, and it's creating consistency. One of the things we talk about, we're 95 restaurants across Canada, coast to coast, and we talk a lot about consistent execution. And this is one of the things that really helps us with that. And I would say the other thing that's quantifiable is that, and maybe I would say just our ability to have records of everything, which in the past, as you know, it would be individualized by regional manager or by restaurant, and they would track their own stuff their own way. You could never have it all together in one place, and this houses everything for us, which has been quite helpful.
And then qualitatively, just overall, how does DailyChex support even like audit app? Just since because you start off with audit app, obviously, then you start using DailyChex. Have you seen the improvements in assessment scores overall since the DailyChex kind of came into play?
I'm not going to be able to answer that question because
Okay.
it's a question more for my director.
For sure, for sure. I guess just overall, have you seen people happier, I guess, now that it's a little
Yeah,
bit more organized and they're not having to chase down the same type of data that they did probably in the past?
yeah. So qualitatively, to answer that question, it's to have something right on your phone
Yeah.
and the ability to have multiple people using the same thing at the same time has certainly made it easier. When we used to print off 7 days worth of stuff, and then you could only pass it around. And I suppose you could have printed more paper and everybody could break it down, but that's not efficient or effective either.
Yeah.
The beauty of having it on your phone is that everybody has the audit app downloaded, and they can be working on the same sheet at the same time, taking their pictures, making sure they're making their notes, and then you can go and fix and action the thing that needs to get done.
Yeah. And just final question here, from your team, has there been any general comments or feedback on just how it's been so far?
What's interesting, I can use a quick story. We have a wide variety of partners and obviously leaders at our restaurants. And getting adoption on technology sometimes can be not the easiest.
Yeah.
What I would say to you is that I would say we had one of our franchisees who really had an old school thought process, and we actually asked him to try it for 30 days. Now he swears by it and his team. So that
That's good.
that's
Yeah.
some of the remarkable stories. Once you get people to just try it and there's adoption, it's really good.
Yeah, no, that's great. And thank you for that. And thanks for joining us today.
No problem. It's my pleasure.